God doesn't always enter your life politely. Sometimes He doesn't knock. Sometimes He doesn't wait for your permission. Sometimes He doesn't whisper like a gentle breeze. Sometimes He shakes the ground beneath your feet until every excuse you've ever built collapses into dust. And when God whispers loud enough to shake your bones, it's not because He's angry, it's because you've carried silence long enough, because destiny has waited too long, because the path you were meant to walk has been delayed by your fear, your comfort, your distractions, your doubts. So He whispers, but His whisper hits like thunder, slams like a storm, burns like a command written into your soul before you were even born. When God whispers like that, you don't get to pretend you didn't hear Him. You don't get to hide behind your weakness anymore. You don't get to keep acting small when heaven keeps reminding you that you were forged for more. His whisper grabs your spine, straightens it, cracks the fear out of your bones, and forces you to feel the weight of the calling you've been running from. Because yes, you've been running. Everyone runs. Everyone avoids the voice that demands transformation, responsibility, discipline, courage. But God, in His relentless mercy, refuses to let you sabotage what He placed inside you. There are seasons when life shakes you because of your mistakes. But there are also seasons when God shakes you because your destiny is too heavy to be carried with soft hands and a timid heart. He shakes you to wake you. He shakes you to break the chains you've gotten comfortable dragging around. He shakes you so violently that your excuses start sounding pathetic even to you. You know that moment. That sudden internal jolt, that spiritual punch to the chest, that feeling that something is breaking open from inside you? That's God whispering. Whispering with a power strong enough to shatter everything fragile inside your doubt. Whispering with a certainty that terrifies the hell out of every fear you've been nursing. Whispering with a force that pulls you out of your past like a warrior being yanked back onto the battlefield after trying to retreat. God doesn't whisper like humans whisper. His whisper isn't soft. It's precise. It's surgical. It slices. It exposes. It cuts away the dead weight you've been trying to resurrect. It removes the fake versions of you that the world tried to mold. His whisper strips you of everything that doesn't belong to your purpose, and the reason it shakes your bones is because it's spoken to the deepest, strongest part of you, the part you forgot, the part you abandoned, the part you buried under years of disappointment, failure, heartbreak, fear, and pressure. God whispers to the place where your real identity sleeps. And when He speaks there, that identity wakes up angry, hungry, fierce, ready, like a lion that realizes it has been living like a house pet. Some people don't understand why you suddenly break down. Why you suddenly get intense. Why you suddenly decide you're done tolerating certain habits, certain people, certain patterns. Why you suddenly rise. Why you suddenly change everything. They don't get it because they didn't hear the whisper. They didn't feel the quake. They didn't experience that divine voltage ripping through your spirit. When God whispers loud enough to shake your bones, you know something in your life is about to be rebuilt from the ground up. Something is about to be cut off. Something is about to be revived. Something is about to be delivered. Something is about to be demanded of you. Some people think God's whisper is gentle. They think it's poetic. They think it's cozy. But sometimes God whispers like a commander in a war zone, not because he wants to scare you, but because he wants to activate you. Because too much is at stake. Because you've been treating your calling like an option when heaven wrote it as a mandate. You know what it feels like, when suddenly you can't sleep. When suddenly your mind won't shut off. When suddenly your spirit starts vibrating like it's too full for your body. When suddenly you feel pulled, pushed, stretched, provoked. That's God moving inside you. That's God rearranging your blueprint. That's God breaking your alignment with anything that isn't His will, and when that whisper hits, everything fake in your life starts shaking. The relationships you outgrew tremble. The habits that were destroying you crack. The environments that kept you small start falling apart. Why? Because God won't let anything weak hold on to someone He's strengthening. He won't let anything toxic stay attached to someone He's preparing. He won't let anything temporary survive in the space meant for something eternal. God whispers and suddenly your comfort zone becomes unbearable. Suddenly your small routine feels like a prison cell. Suddenly the conversations you used to tolerate now sound empty. Suddenly the life you've been surviving isn't enough anymore. Suddenly you want more. Suddenly you crave transformation. Suddenly you're tired of being tired, and it feels like your bones are vibrating because your soul is waking up. Your soul is remembering the weight of the assignment that's been burning inside you since before you had a name. God whispers, and in that whisper is every promise, every prophecy, every blessing, every calling, every battle, every victory He ever planned for you. Sometimes God doesn't speak in storms. Sometimes He speaks to the storm inside you. And when He does, the storm obeys. The fear obeys. The anxiety obeys. The generational curses obey. The brokenness obeys. The chains obey. Your entire life realigns. You might call it chaos. Heaven calls it construction. You might call it discomfort. Heaven calls it preparation. You might call it loss. Heaven calls it clearing the battlefield. When God whispers loud enough to shake your bones, it's not punishment, it's promotion disguised as disruption. You feel it in the marrow of your bones, in the fire behind your eyes, in the restless energy that no distraction can calm. That is not coincidence. That is God whispering with a force that refuses to be ignored. Every time you try to numb it, it grows louder. Every time you try to rationalize it, it becomes undeniable. Every time you resist it, it becomes impossible. That's the power of divine insistence, merciless, unrelenting, unforgiving, because what He has placed in you cannot be delayed. And what He has planned for you cannot be denied. The whisper doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't negotiate with fear. It doesn't wait for courage to show up. It crashes into you like a tidal wave and leaves no part of you untouched. It shakes the corners of your mind that have been collecting dust. It shatters the walls you built to hide from your purpose. It detonates the lies you've been telling yourself about why you can't, why you shouldn't, why it's too late. Every excuse you thought was solid suddenly feels like paper in a hurricane, God whispers, and suddenly you realize how much of your life has been fake comfort. How many times you've settled for less than what He placed in your hands. How many times you've compromised because fear whispered louder than faith. How many dreams you've buried because you were too timid to take them seriously. The whisper pulls all of that out of hiding. It exposes it. It forces it into the light. It forces you to see your life as it is, not as it feels, not as it looks, not as the world wants to tell you, but as it truly is, a battleground between your excuses and your destiny. When the whisper hits, you can no longer sleep in mediocrity. You can no longer settle for lukewarm faith or half-hearted effort. You can no longer stay in toxic environments, draining relationships, or empty routines. You can no longer ignore the call burning inside your chest. Because that whisper is louder than every lie you've believed about yourself. It's louder than the doubts. Louder than the failures. Louder than the shame. It reverberates through your body like a drum of war, summoning the warrior inside you who has been asleep, who has been hidden, who has been ignored. Do not mistake it for gentle guidance. This whisper is not a suggestion. It's a command. It's a spiritual shockwave meant to realign your life. It's meant to force action when you've been frozen. It's meant to rip open doors that fear has padlocked. It's meant to ignite the fire that has been smoldering under the ashes of your excuses. And when that fire bursts, nothing will ever look the same again. Nothing. People will stare at you and ask what happened, and you'll have to tell them, God whispered. And His whisper shakes bones, not because He wants to break you, but because He wants to build you into a force that cannot be ignored, a presence that cannot be overlooked, a life that cannot be contained. You will feel like the world is against you. You will feel like every obstacle is bigger than you. You will feel like you are being tested in ways that no human should endure. That is the point. God whispers to summon the strength you didn't know you had. God whispers to awaken the courage you forgot existed. God whispers to release the fury of your purpose, the ferocity of your calling, the relentlessness of your destiny. And when you finally answer that whisper, you will see that everything that tried to stop you was just preparation for the level of force you now carry. Nothing will stop you because nothing can stop the whisper of God. It is louder than circumstance, stronger than opposition, sharper than betrayal, and fiercer than fear. It doesn't negotiate. It doesn't compromise. It doesn't apologize. It commands your attention, demands your obedience, and ignites your destiny. And the bones that shake under its force? They will be the bones of a warrior, unbreakable, unshakable, unstoppable. You are being awakened. You are being realigned. You are being provoked to rise. You are being reminded that your life is not a rehearsal, your purpose is not optional, and your calling is not a suggestion. When God whispers loud enough to shake your bones, the shaking is not chaos, it is preparation. It is activation. It is the sound of destiny calling, of fire being lit, of greatness being summoned. And if you have the courage to respond, to move when the whisper turns into a roar, to stand when the quake threatens to knock you down, then nothing, absolutely nothing, will ever be able to contain you again. God whispers loud enough to shake your bones because you are standing at the edge of a threshold you've been too afraid to cross. Every tremor, every shiver, every fire running through your veins is the universe, and heaven itself, demanding you stop pretending, demanding you rise, demanding you recognize that your life is not ordinary and never was meant to be. That whisper is a war cry. It is not a suggestion. It is a summons to action. And make no mistake, ignoring it will cost you everything you've been given to hold, everything you've been promised, everything that has been written into your destiny since before you took your first breath. Your fear will fight you. Your comfort will scream at you. Your past will try to chain you back into mediocrity. Your mind will argue, not now. Wait. Maybe later. That is the enemy speaking through the familiar voice of hesitation. That is the world's attempt to keep you small. But God's whisper is louder, sharper, and far more violent than any of those lies. It pierces through doubt. It demolishes hesitation. It annihilates complacency. It is a hand that reaches into your soul, shakes it violently, and says, "No more. Rise now." When that whisper shakes your bones, it's not a gentle call to step forward, it is a spiritual earthquake designed to awaken the warrior buried inside you. Your bones shake because your soul recognizes the weight of your calling and refuses to be carried by anything less than courage. Every cell in your body begins to vibrate with the memory of the power you've ignored, the fire you've dimmed, the potential you've left untapped. It is not subtle. It is brutal. It is relentless. And if you refuse to move, the whisper will grow, intensify, become unbearable until you have no choice but to obey. There is a war raging inside you, and the whisper is the battle horn. The war is not against the world, it is against your limitations, your fears, your past failures, the chains of hesitation, and the lies you've been telling yourself. Every dream you buried, every prayer you whispered and doubted, every promise you feared was impossible, all of it is rising, demanding to be claimed. God's whisper shakes your bones because He is awakening the warrior who refuses to be defeated by anything mortal or spiritual. You will feel the pain. You will feel the resistance. You will feel the fire in your bones burn like it's consuming you. That is intentional. Pain is the hammer that molds warriors. Resistance is the weight that strengthens muscles of the soul. Fire is the crucible that purifies purpose. When God whispers this loudly, nothing weak in you survives. Everything fragile cracks. Everything counterfeit falls. Everything small is obliterated. What remains is raw, unbreakable, unshakable, ready to stand and conquer. Do not mistake the shaking for weakness. Do not confuse the trembling for fear. The shaking is proof that God is moving inside you. It is proof that your destiny refuses to wait any longer. It is proof that every delay, every obstacle, every setback, every betrayal, every heartbreak was a setup for the magnitude of power you are about to release. Your bones shake because they are aligning to carry a weight far greater than anything you have ever imagined, a purpose that is relentless. A calling that is unstoppable, a destiny that no human opposition can derail. God whispers loud enough to shake your bones because He is preparing you for the unthinkable victories, for the battles that will define your life, for the moments when you will stand untouched by fear, unshaken by doubt, unmovable by circumstance. He whispers to awaken your courage, ignite your fire, sharpen your focus, and awaken the warrior who has been sleeping beneath layers of excuses, distractions, and weakness. When you respond to that whisper, the world will see a transformation they cannot explain. They will witness a force that refuses to be intimidated. They will see a life that defies probability. They will feel the echo of a soul so aligned with purpose that nothing can stand against it. Your bones shake because God is rebuilding you from the inside out. Your spirit is vibrating because He is infusing you with power you have never known. Your destiny is roaring because He is demanding it be claimed. This is the moment. This is the call. This is the awakening. The whisper will not stop. The shaking will not stop. The fire will not stop. And neither will you. You will rise. You will conquer. You will move with the ferocity of every promise that has ever been written for you. You will live like the power that whispers through your bones has no equal, because it doesn't. It is God Himself. And when He moves in you, the world moves aside, or it breaks. When God whispers loud enough to shake your bones, the shaking is not a warning. It is not a suggestion. It is a declaration. A declaration that your life will no longer be small, that your purpose will no longer be delayed, that your calling will no longer be denied. Everything inside you that was weak, timid, hesitant, or doubtful is being dismantled. Every excuse you've clung to is being ripped away. Every false comfort is being obliterated. Every fear is being shattered. And what remains is raw, fierce, unrelenting power, the real you, forged in the fire of divine insistence, tempered by trials, and sharpened by truth. The whisper doesn't negotiate. It doesn't ask politely. It shakes because the life you were meant to live cannot be carried in silence. The destiny you were born for cannot be whispered to in whispers. It must roar through your bones, through your spirit, through your every breath. And if you dare ignore it, the shaking intensifies. The fire becomes unbearable. The hunger becomes intolerable. The calling becomes deafening. God does not stop until you rise, until you move, until you claim everything He whispered into your soul before time began. This is your reckoning. This is your awakening. This is the moment you either step into the power that has been pulsing through your veins or retreat into the shadows of your own comfort. There is no middle ground. There is no safety in hesitation. There is no mercy in delay. When God whispers this loudly, the universe itself conspires to align with you, but only if you answer. Only if you move. Only if you fight through the fire, the resistance, the shaking, and the doubt. The bones that shake under God's whisper are the bones that will carry victory. The spirit that trembles under His force is the spirit that will move mountains. The courage that rises from His roar is the courage that will shatter chains, break curses, and redefine everything that touches your life. Nothing can stand against a soul awakened by God's whisper. Nothing can stop a life realigned by His command. Nothing can contain the force of a destiny demanded by heaven itself. So rise. Rise with the fury of every promise that has ever been spoken over you. Rise with the intensity of every trial that has tried to break you but only made you stronger. Rise with the authority of every gift, every calling, every unshakable truth planted inside you before the world even knew your name. Rise because the whisper has reached your bones. Rise because the fire is in your blood. Rise because your destiny is now awake, alive, and roaring, and when you rise, shake the world. Shake it with the power that only comes from responding to a whisper that refuses to be ignored. Shake it with a courage that cannot be intimidated. Shake it with a strength that cannot be broken. Shake it with the certainty that you are not small, you are not weak, you are not a victim, you are the chosen, the called, the awakened, the unstoppable, God whispered. Your bones shook. Now rise.